Welcome to NeuroMovement Revolution with Anat Baniel, where you will discover breakthrough possibilities for your life through the brain's power to change. We're so happy that you can join us in making the impossible possible.
And welcome now to episode 42 of our NeuroMovement Revolution podcast. Episode 42 is entitled Promoting Empowering Beliefs in Your Child. It's a very special interview, our second interview between Anat and her great friend, Shelly Lefkoe. Maybe just say a few words about Shelly and Anat for those who didn't hear episode 41.
Well, Shelly Lefkoe is a co-founder and vice president of Lefkoe Institute. It's a San Francisco Bay Area firm whose mission is to significantly improve the quality of life on the planet by having people recreate their lives. Shelly has helped thousands of clients, and one of her passions is working with parents. That's one of the reasons she's on this podcast. And she helps people examine and eliminate limiting beliefs. She has helped thousands rid themselves of a wide variety of problems, including anxiety, phobias, relationship issues, and more. Shelly's programs have reached over 150,000 people worldwide. Her work has been featured on the Today Show, Lisa, and many other media outlets. Her personal vision is to transform the way people parent. Shelly believes that if we raise a conscious generation of children, violence will end, people will treat each other with respect and dignity, and life on this planet will be better for everyone. So first of all, Shelly, thank you for being here with us. It's like such a treat for me. I'm having such a terrific dessert with you.
Me too.
So I want to say to the audience, you already know that, but that one of the reasons I wanted Shelly, of course, I wanted Shelly on this podcast altogether, but for this specific topic is that one of the chapters in my book, Kids Beyond Limits, is called Enthusiasm. And really enthusiasm came from observation. When I worked with certain children, I observed that if the parent saw small changes and was kind of felt good and hopeful as a result, and you know, it got well-being from seeing small changes in the child was like the speed of the changes in the child accelerated. And when the parent of this, the other parent of the same child, it so happened I had a few of those where one parent got hopeful and like the meaning they gave it, right? And the other parent that got more like discouraged and a little depressed because the changes were not matching what she or he felt that they were hoping for, the child's responses became a little bit like wet cement. And when I observed that a number of times, I realized that it's for real. It's really happening. Yep. And I also observed that working with adults, that when never mind the whole story, but I worked with someone and she had a lot of trouble, and I thought, I had a negative thought like, oh, I don't know if I can help her. She held her breath. And then I wondered if it had anything to do with it. So I forced myself to think empowering thought about her condition, which I said it took a lot of intelligence. She was a Holocaust survivor. So a lot of intelligence to create so many problems. And she started breathing. And then I thought the other thought again, just to test it, and she held her breath. And I thought the other thought, and she breathed. And I realized that what we think, what we feel as a result, and you know, of course, what we believe, can have a tremendous impact on the other person, irrespective of what we do or don't do with them, irrespective of the intervention. So I would like you to ask you, Shelly, to talk about how you see how the adult's beliefs impact the child from the point of view of how can we build a stronger child, right?
Isn't this the episode where we encourage our children to create positive beliefs?
Well, we encourage a process that creates positive beliefs in the children.
Right. So, because what I want to say about what you just said is your thoughts, I would contend, do impact your behavior. And if you're thinking, I can't help this child, you're kind of whatever, doing, yeah. But if you believe I can help this child, like I've seen you, certainly in person, work with people, and I've you worked with me, in front of a room after my car accident. And the way that you come at me is just lift your leg and do this and breathe and move. And, there's this confidence that comes from you. And I think it imbues everything into what you're doing. And that's the whole point about how powerful our beliefs are. That, if there's an old saying, if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. And I think with children, the thing that you want to focus on all the time is, what did they just conclude out of this interaction that I just had with them?
I love that.
What did they just walk away saying? Did they come away from that interaction feeling hopeful, feeling I can do anything, feeling I can't do something right now, but it's possible? Or did they walk away feeling, or did they come away feeling there's something wrong with me, I'll never be able to do it, I'm stupid, I'm bad, there's something wrong with me? And that's the thing with all children, and particularly special needs children. It's, as parents, you're human. I mean, I cannot even imagine what it's like to have a child who has seizures all day. I just can't. I have 2 kids. So I'm not minimizing it. I'm not saying never get frustrated or never get upset or never get, but what I'm saying is, if you do get frustrated, if you do get scared, if you do, I'll tell you a great story in a minute, but go back and tell your child, I call it cleanup. Sweetie, there's nothing wrong with you. You are trying your best. Mommy's tired. I just lost patience, but I believe in you. Now, you also have to be careful. One of the beliefs that surprised me the most, one of the sources that surprised me the most about the belief, I'm not capable. When parents say to kids, you could do anything, the kid says to themselves, no, I can't. There must be something wrong with me, because my mother says I could do everything. And if I can't, there must be something wrong with me. So you're being positive. You're telling your kid, you could do anything. But you have to contextualize it. And you have to say, you may not be able to do it now. And I know that someday you can do it. That's different. When you say to a child, it's going to be okay, and you want to make it better, they don't know that. What you want to do is acknowledge what is right now, and then look at what's possible. And of course, acknowledge the wins, the little tiny wins. And here's the thing, I didn't think I was going to say this, but I'm moved to say this. What you do maybe interests people. Who you are inspires them. It's one of my favorite quotes. So if you acknowledge your children for who they are, you're such a joy to be with. I love being with you. Watching you play with your sister or anything. Let them know that they're human beings as opposed to human doings who can't do certain things that other kids can do. Who you are is alive and vibrant and joyful and funny, so that they can start seeing themselves as a being who can be with other people, even if they can't, or other kids, even if they can't do what other kids can do.
That is so beautiful. I mean, I just want to acknowledge that. So the saying is, what you do may interest people. Who you are will or can inspire people.
Who you are inspires people.
Oh, inspires people.
Yeah. That's why speakers never get up on a stage and say, I have 40 million followers and $20,000 and blah, 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 blah. They talk about their failures. It's the first thing they do. I failed and I got up and I tried again. And because who you are, I used to be a drug addict and now I'm not anymore. That's inspiring. I own 12 companies is not inspiring.
Yeah. So yeah. And I think there's some distinctions, and you made it. I just want to point it. So I have parents sometimes, just an example, come in and they say, will my child walk? Until today, sorry, I remember the first time I was asked that question. I was in New York when I lived in New York, and I started working, the kids started coming. And I took the question in and I asked, will the child walk? I mean, I asked myself, is this child walk? And two things happened to me simultaneously. One is I realized I have no idea. The second one was maybe the most important one, that if I tried to answer this question, I would have no idea what to do with this child. I had to know that I don't know and be fine with not knowing and focus on what was in front of me and what could I do now? Where can I facilitate for this child to move this? It's so strong, this thing. The children that we help walk late, right? That they have issues and they already know that they're failing at something that they can't do, and all that stuff. That's part of my enthusiasm chapter. When they start, let's say, walking, and it's always spontaneous, I warn the parents to not clap, not say bravo, not get excited, to stay really quiet, because we had a few cases of that if the child is then encouraged to do it, they revert. There's this real inhibition happens. So there is something about the being and that allowing and delighting in what they are doing. And something, they are delightful. And it's again, okay, so I just
want to illuminate something you said. So here's a belief. Not knowing is powerful.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Listen. This is very, very powerful. So a lot of people that I work with, from school particularly, have the belief that not knowing means you're stupid. Because in school, when you didn't know, that's how you got treated. So we all think we should know, and we operate out of that. And like Anat says, it creates a limitation, because the minute you know something, then, not knowing is bad and wrong. And when you know, my husband used to say, this is so brilliant. When you think you know something, what happens to questions?
They disappear.
Stop. When questions stop, what happens to learning?
Stops.
Learning stops. So Morty always used, my husband was a genius, and he always used to say, I don't know, but here's what I think. That's how he talked, because he was always open to learning. Here's what I think. And his thinking was brilliant, but I don't know. What do you think? So I love that, Anat. When you have the belief, it's okay to not know, then miracles can happen and possibilities can happen in the not knowing. Fabulous.
Yeah, and the parent can, if relating to the child, so a child can't walk, I wouldn't say you will walk one day. I will say, I don't know, but let's see what we can do now and let's see where we can get. Just be truthful, like nothing is wrong.
Yeah. And you're not shutting down a possibility, and that's the other thing, when doctors or people tell you, I mean, I know that Anat has worked with people who were told you'll never walk, you'll never run, you'll never do this. That's where beliefs are very, very important. Because we form beliefs. If you have a belief, doctors know everything. If the doctor told her to drink cyanide, she'd drink it, because, well, the doctor said. So if you have a belief that other people know better than me, and the doctor says your child will never walk, you'll never walk. I have clients that I send to Anat because they have a special needs child and they believe they will not stop until they find help. People come to me and they say to me, Shelly, I've tried everything. This is the only thing that's worked. But they had to come to me because they read something and said, oh, your beliefs cause your problems. Oh, that's interesting. Let's try that. And the belief that the fat lady doesn't sing, there's always hope. There's always a possibility. Those beliefs will drive you forward. And the beliefs, anytime you hear yourself say, he can't, she can't, I can't, that's a belief. It's just not true.
I had especially the first 10 years, 15 years, I got a lot, the doctor said this and and it's devastating for a parent. It's devastating getting the diagnosis from the neurologist and then the prognosis. So the diagnosis, maybe it's accurate, maybe not, but let's say it's accurate. But the prognosis, every time they get the prognosis, the sentence that went through my head was, says who? Didn't come from God. So
that's a great tool. That's such a great tool to just say to people, says who? Somebody tells you something, says who?
Okay. Yeah, and so would you mind just again, because we might have new people that came on and it's a separate section.
Yeah. Can
you again give the tool of the meaning to people?
Sure. Yeah. So your beliefs, so here's how beliefs get formed. You come into this world, you don't know if you're good enough, not good enough. You don't know if you're smart or not smart. If the world is hard or easy, you don't know if money is scarce and hard to get or it's not. And something happens. You see your parents struggling and you give it the meaning, oh, money is scarce and hard to get. And then it happens again and again. And now you form a belief. Okay. Now, those beliefs, now something happens and you just give it the meaning, oh God, I'll never have money. Yeah, because you have a belief money is scarce and hard to get. Now you're going to give that meaning. If you believe dogs are dangerous and a dog comes down the street, you're going to give it the meaning that dog's going to hurt me. So ultimately you want to eliminate your beliefs. But interimly, what you can do is this. Meaning is in your mind. So your spouse doesn't kiss you hello, and you go, oh, they don't love me anymore, or they're having an affair, or, as opposed to they're having a bad day. And whatever meaning you give will determine what you will feel. So let me give you an example. Man walks down the street, walks past you, and it has no meaning. What are you going to feel?
Nothing.
Nothing. If you give it the meaning he's dangerous, what will you feel?
Fear.
If you give it the meaning, oh, he'll protect me.
Yeah, I'll feel
safe.
I'll start talking to him. Yeah.
And you'll feel safe.
Yes, feel safe.
So events don't make you feel anything. The fact that your child can't roll over doesn't make you feel hopeless. The meaning you give it does cause that feeling. So any time, and meaning is always in your mind. So the events don't have meaning. We don't know anything for sure because something happens. It's just happening. And I tell you a 2-second story I forgot to tell in the last one about a client's kid. So I had a client who had an 11-year-old daughter, and she was in this course called the Occurring Course. It's a 10-week course where we teach people how to dissolve meaning so you can change your feelings. So her 11-year-old daughter gets terrible, terrible stomach pains, so bad that she takes her to the hospital, and they're sitting in the emergency room, and she starts to panic. And she says, okay, what just happened? My daughter has stomach pains. What meaning did I give it? Something terrible is happening. She's sick. What else could it mean? Come up with one other meaning. Well, it could mean she has gas. But what does it really mean? What do I know for sure? Not does it matter, it's a big deal. Only one, what do we know for sure because she has these stomach pains? Nothing. We don't know anything for sure. 4 hours later, so she calmed down. She was with her daughter. She had some tests. They sat in the emergency room together. Doctor comes in after 4 hours and says, she's fine. You can go home, whatever it was. The daughter looks at the mother and says, Mommy, thank you for not being scared. She said, because you weren't scared, I wasn't scared. It makes an enormous difference.
Wow.
When you get, here's the event, here's the meaning. My child will never have a great life. That's in your head. That's not in the events. And it might be challenging. I get it. But meaning is not in the events. You don't know anything for sure because something is a certain way. And the minute you get that, the emotion goes away. And once the emotion goes away, there's possibility. Now we could look for a knot. Now we could do something. We can advocate for our child. But when you're in the, oh God, she's not going to have a great life and she can't roll over and blah, it doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve the child.
I mean, this is just so gorgeous what you said. You know, I think this is going to be, we're going to post it and people can listen to it again because there's so much to learn. And I just want to say, we get all these comments, maybe Neil, read them. Shelly, please, can I have a link? Maggie, that was from Caroline. Maggie says, thank you, Shelly. I would tell this important point to my friend. Do one nice thing for you every day. She says to you to do. Oh, no, whatever, however she meant it. And then so beautiful, just loving this. Yeah, I read a book on money that said to change negative beliefs dealing with money. I don't know how to invest ... yet. You know, and thank you. Wonderful information to share. I'm just reading the bottom of all this long thing. Neil, anything else?
Yeah, there's one that actually came up in the Zoom. So it's from Gina, who's on here. And she says she's experienced many of her medically fragile students responding via eye contact, including the visually impaired, a smile and or physical movement to her positive thoughts and energy sent to them. So that really speaks to what you and Shelly were talking about earlier, about what you believe and how important that is.
If you connect with a child and you're looking in their eyes, that's the being piece. You're being with them. They know there's somebody in there that you know, that somebody cares about them. They're being with them. They feel connected to them.
Yeah, but she's talking about even visually impaired children. So it's through movement and through touch. And I have seen it at a distance. at a distance. A parent sits, I don't know, 5-6 feet away from the child. They say nothing. I don't talk to the parent. They don't talk. The child doesn't see the parent because they are in a position where they are not looking at the parent. And how the parent thinks and how they feel is impacting the child to such a degree that when I now have any adult in the room with the child that is in anxiety and stuff, I support them, but I ask them to leave the room. I won't work on the child because and then to support the parent to find a place of safety for themselves and some hope and so on.
Yeah. I don't know if I said in this episode, so I want to make sure I say it because it is the most important thing I say. When your child has an interaction with you and you walk away, ask yourself the question, what did they just conclude out of that interaction? Did they conclude, I'm good enough or I'm not? I'm stupid or I'm smart? I can't do this now, but maybe someday I will. What did they conclude? Mommy's upset with me. There must be something wrong with me that I can't do it. And if it's something that you think they concluded, just go back and clean it up and say, Mommy was tired. Mommy was stressed. This has nothing to do with you. And, I know that, anything is possible or whatever, but make sure they come out of the interaction with positive beliefs. I may not be able to do this, but I can do this and I can do that.
And Shelly, this is can be also very challenging and so important because kids with special needs tend to get a lot of interventions. And one of the things is that when there is an intervention, and that's where, our work really departs tremendously. And the second chapter in my book is from fixing to connecting, because when we step into fixing unintentionally, we are very likely to actually create beliefs in the child and experiences in the child that are detrimental. And people who work with me know I can be direct and pretty, I don't know, tough, but I don't coochie-coo, or I don't cover or sugarcoat stuff. I work with what is, but it's always in a way that the child feels agency.
I just had an insight that I never realized before when we were talking about the importance of being with a child, and it makes me cry. In some of the stories that you've shared with me about working with autistic children, it is, you're working with them and doing your magic, but the way that you be with them is the biggest shift. And the way that you're talking to them and looking at them and, oh, you're screaming right now, and doing her magic, but being with that child. And I think it is the connection that is such a big part of your work. And the child never gets the message you're broken and that we're fixing you. So we're fixing you because there's something wrong with you. You're broken. And it's that the whole paradigm of what you do is really what I'm talking about. So it's stunning, just stunning.
Wow.
We have questions?
We do have a question that I'd love to bring up to you because we're nearing the end of the podcast. So
oh God, it went like a minute.
Yeah, we can run over a couple of minutes.
Okay.
This is from Ashley on Facebook. In my experience, my body can experience a reaction to trauma, even if I am not applying meaning. I feel my mind and spirit are connected to the positive, yet the trauma of the experience affects my nervous system greatly. Do you have any tips? She says, ABM helps me calm my nervous system more than anything else.
Great. I don't agree with your premise because I think you're just not aware of the meaning that you're giving, because a trauma happens. So let's assume, someone is raped and you're not being raped anymore today. So again, it's the meaning that you're giving it. I'm worthless, or I'm powerless, or men have all the power, or the world's not safe, that reignites that trauma. So if ABM is helping you, I would say do that. But I would also look at, stop and think right before you have that moment of stress or whatever the emotion is. Just stop and ask you, even if it's a thought, what just happened right before I felt that? And you had a thought, oh, men are dangerous, or oh, life is something, or, and then get that the meaning is in your mind, not in the event or not in the thought. There's no meaning inherent in what happened to you. It just happened to you. Now, again, I'm not minimizing what happened, and that could be a whole nother podcast. But when you're traumatized, and it's a terrible thing while it's happening to you. But it's not happening to you now. And when it gets triggered, you can use this technique to get yourself to a calm place.
Well, Shelly, just demonstrated how authentic and fearless you are, and how you're really committed to doing everything you can to give people access to the power of directing the power of beliefs in a way that is enhancing and brings life to a much better place.
Yeah, because I work with a lot. My favorite population is incest survivors, because the beliefs that they formed are none of which are true, and here's the thing. I work with them for a while, and we get rid of, I'm powerless, it was my fault, I'm bad, I'm damaged goods. And once those beliefs go away, the feelings are different. And then you stop giving meaning to everything that happens around men, or around, you stop being powerless. So it's and then when I get to that place, the first time I ever did this, Anat, was like what you said. I remember the first time I said to an incest survivor, what happened to you was terrible. I'm not minimizing it. I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody. That's why I'm in the parenting business. However, what meaning does it have? What do I know for sure? Because that happened to you. And you do not have to live your life defined by something that happened to you 20, 30, 40 years ago. It happened. And the meaning, all the meanings you give it are inside your mind. They're not in the events. And when you get that, there's a, oh, it just happened. And it doesn't have meaning. That's incredibly powerful.
Yes. Now, I don't think we have time for another question, but we're going to put a link to your website, and for people to be able to reach you, because people are asking. Maybe, I don't know, Neil, we can put it on Facebook, or tell me, Neil, how should we? I will do it for sure on the podcast, but can we do it sooner, because it takes a few days for that to be posted?
We can put it on Facebook. The Facebook Live is there now. It's going to stay there.
Just say lefkoeinstitute.com, and it's LEF as in Frank, KOE.
I will put it in. I will put it in the chat.
Yeah.
The chat, Shelly Lefkoe.institute.
Lefkoe Institute.
Lefkoe Institute.
Without Shelly. Lefkoeinstitute.com. That's easy. And we'll put it also.
I would like to give a gift. Can I give a gift?
Oh, you can do anything, honey.
Okay. So if you go to recreateyourlife.com, RECREATE, recreateyourlife.com, you can eliminate a belief for free and see what it feels like to do that. So I give that.
That's great. That's wonderful. Thank you for your generosity. And Shelly, thank you so much for coming on. I know you for so many years, and we're so close, and I'm having a whole new experience of you. I've been sitting here getting my skin buzzing. I'm so inspired. Thank you so very much.
And thank you for the work that you do in the world. You make an enormous, profound difference in children's lives, in people's lives. And I am in awe of what you do and inspired always by you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy people are going to, my people, are discovering you. So I hope I'm sure many will seek to work with you. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for giving me your time. I want to always honor that. You could have done a lot of things with your time. So thank you for spending it with me.
Yeah. And pretty much until a few minutes ago, pretty much everybody stayed on.
Oh, good.
Okay.
And I'm going to unmute everybody or ask them to mute so they can say goodbye to you both.
But I want to go on gallery view so I could see everybody.
Thank you so much. Very inspiring and so many valuable tools.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Inspiring.
Thank you. Wonderful. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on NeuroMovement Revolution with Anat Baniel. You will find all of our podcasts and additional resources on our website at www.anatbanielmethod.com. You can also subscribe to this podcast for free on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn. We look forward to seeing you online for our next NeuroMovement Revolution.